Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. So today I have a really awesome top 5 video for you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy this one. And if you do, please drop a like on it. It helps me make more Cold War content, which I want to make more videos like this in the future. Now on this video, we have the top 5 best Black Ops 1 references in Black Ops Cold War. Now a lot of people that have played Black Ops Cold War have not played the original Black Ops game, which this game is the direct sequel to. So it's the direct sequel to the 2010 game. So 10 years later, we get a sequel to the original Black Ops game. And in this game, there's actually a lot of references to the original game. And the original game is actually my favorite story of all time in a Call of Duty game. I guess I'm one of the few people that buys Call of Duty games primarily for their stories and not their multiplayer. I love the story in Cold War as well. My only complaint was that it was kind of short, like around 4 hours. But other than that, it was a great story. So I hope that you guys enjoy this one. Top 5 best Black Ops 1 references in Black Ops Cold War. Starting off at number 5, we have the same intros in both games. Now, both Black Ops 1 and Black Ops Cold War start off the same way. The screen is black, and then we see a match being lit in the middle of it. And in both games, we are playing as Mason. And this is most likely Mason that is lighting this match and smoking a cigarette. Both games are also in bars. The original Black Ops game is in a bar in Cuba in which Woods is getting information from Carlos where they're planning to assassinate Fidel Castro. In Black Ops Cold War, they are in a bar in the Netherlands and they wait until the police chief comes in who tells them that he will hold off the police for 15 minutes as they track down Qasim and capture him, a terrorist that they are trying to get. But there's more to this if you think about it. Even though both missions start out the same, they play very differently. However, they're the opposite of one another, and I think that's not a coincidence. In the original Black Ops game, when you're in the bar, a group of Cuban soldiers come in, and they immediately become suspicious of you, and they try to arrest Mason, to which Woods puts a knife in one of the Cuban soldiers' hand, and then you kill the rest of them. Then you fight out of the bar and are trying to escape from the Cuban police.
This way, into the alley. Get to the car. Reinforcements. Shit, too many of them. Hold it, cover our six. Hostile front statue. Target down.
I will see you at the airstrip. Suerte, my friends.
Hit it, go. Get the fuck out of our way. Roadblock! See it! Forward, Mason!
In Black Ops Cold War, it's the opposite, where instead you are chasing after Qasim. So in Black Ops 1, you're being chased. In Black Ops Cold War, you're chasing after Qasim.
Keep on him! Jesus, this guy's fast! Go, go!
Nowhere left to run, Qasim.
We can work some up!
After you assassinate Castro, or Castro's double, in the original Black Ops game, you actually get to this cargo plane at the end of the mission, and you escape on the cargo plane. Mason jumps off the plane and attempts to sacrifice himself so that the rest of the team can escape. In Cold War, you come up on Arash's airfield after you get information from Qasim. Arash is a terrorist that was involved in the Iran hostage crisis, and he's also working with Perseus. And if you look, it's a cargo plane, very similar to the original Black Ops game. Now, I don't know much about plane types. It looks like the same plane to me, so if somebody in the comments let me know if this is the exact same plane. But regardless, both in the first game, the ending of the first mission, and the ending of the first mission in Cold War, both of them you come across a very similar looking cargo plane. In the original Black Ops game, you try to escape on that plane, and most of the team escapes, besides Mason. In Cold War instead, when you go after Arash, Arash attempts to take off and try to get away. You are instead chasing him, and you have to chase the plane down and blow the plane up. Original game, plane escapes. In the Cold War, you're chasing after the plane and it blows up. I don't think that's really a coincidence. Next at number 4, we have the same words, but roles reversed. Now pay very close attention to what JFK says to Mason in the Pentagon, and then pay very close attention to what Gorbachev says to Belikov in the Lubyanka building, also known as the KGB headquarters.
We are in grave danger from the communists. Our freedom, our very way of life is at risk.
Comrade Belikov, we are in grave danger from the capitalists. Our collective, our very way of life is at risk.
I can't believe I missed this the first time I played Cold War. Gorbachev's words there are the exact same as Kennedy. I remembered Kennedy's words, but I didn't realize that Gorbachev said it, but the roles were reversed. Now, basically, the reason that I think that they put this in was, I guess, to show you the Soviet perspective in a way. Because in Black Ops 1, JFK, he says, we are in grave danger from the communists. Our freedom, our very way of life is at risk. And then Gorbachev, who Gorbachev ends up becoming the last leader of the Soviet Union, he's not the leader of the Soviet Union here. He's only a secretary of the Central Committee, which the Central Committee was the ruling body of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. But anyways, it's a very high rank in the Communist Party. And Gorbachev says, we are in grave danger from the capitalists. Our collective, our very way of life is at risk. This is showing you, I guess, the Soviet perspective, in that both countries during the Cold War, both the US and the Soviet Union, felt threatened by each other. Kennedy says our freedom is at risk, while Gorbachev specifically says our collective. And a collective is something being done by a group of people. So in the case of the Soviet Union, you had collective farms, and then you had factories as well. And the idea of these was that the factories and the farms were owned by the government, and they were supposed to be shared by the workers, and they were supposed to be shared by the peasants. There was not supposed to be any private property in the Soviet Union. Everything was to be shared and done as a group. I'm not defending Soviet ideology here. I'm only saying their perspective on it. So that is why Gorbachev specifically says our collective is at risk, while Kennedy says our freedom is at risk. You have two very different ideologies during the Cold War, and I like how they both highlighted it. As well as there's another thing. Kennedy will be assassinated 2 weeks later when he meets Mason. He meets Mason November 10th, 1963, and Mason actually sees Kennedy as an enemy, and that is due to his brainwashing. Gorbachev, on the other hand, later becomes General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. He ends up becoming President of the Soviet Union, the final leader of it, before its collapse. So, both leaders, it's not going to go good for them. Kennedy will be assassinated 2 weeks later in Black Ops 1. Gorbachev will actually be the last leader of the Soviet Union before its collapse. At number 3, we have Woods and Mason's dialogue regarding Castro and Black Ops Cold War. So let's take a listen to what Woods says here about Castro.
And the likely location of the stolen nuke.
No doubt Castro allowed it.
$20 to anyone who can bring him down before me.
Who? Castro or Perseus?
Whoever.
Woods. Don't get any bright ideas over there.
Yeah, you've got my sure as shit guarantee.
Let's talk. You look ready.
Look alive. It's Adler's protege.
Bell.
Are you fucking serious right now?
Don't get him started.
Nah. Hold on, let me set the record straight.
Here we go.
So yeah, Castro and I have some history between us. I had the opportunity to off the man, but our intel was flubbed. That sent a tidal wave of shit all the way up to DC. So if I find out that Perseus is in cahoots with Castro, and Hudson happens to find one of my bullets in Fidel's head, well, I say chalk it up to collateral damage.
Huh. Kept it under 5 minutes. I was expecting a diatribe.
What Mason and Woods are referencing here is Operation 40, the first mission in the original Black Ops game. And midway through that mission, both Mason and Woods attempted to kill Castro, but their intel was off. Take a look at this scene here.
Golden, this is empty. We're moving on.
Better make it fast. B-26s are about to begin their bombing run.
Target should be up ahead. Roger. Moving inside. Get in position. You ready to make history? Crazy bitch. He uses the human shield, and she still protects him?
Castro's supporters are fanatical in their devotion to it.
If we look at Castro's body in the original Black Ops, we can see that the crosshairs is red, which indicates that Mason and Woods didn't kill the real Castro. They only killed a double. And like I said earlier in this video, this mission ends in a disaster where Mason attempts to sacrifice himself so that the rest of the team can escape. Woods and the rest of the team does escape, but Mason gets captured. to which he finds out that Castro is dead and working with Dragovich. And the reason that I think Woods takes this so personally is because he most likely feels responsible for his friend Mason being captured. Maybe he feels he didn't do enough to stop it from happening. Mason is then sent to a Vorkuta prison camp in Siberia for the next 2 years, and on top of that, he is also subjected to 2 years of brainwashing. Maybe Woods does feel responsible for that. And the reason that Hudson seems so concerned about Woods is because Hudson is probably scared that Woods may kill Castro if he's given the chance. The reason that Hudson is concerned with that is because a year later after Operation 40, the Cuban Missile Crisis was resolved. The US, the Soviet Union, and Cuba made an agreement in which the US would agree to never invade Cuba, and in exchange, the Soviet Union would remove the missiles from Cuba. And if Woods was to assassinate Castro, this may cause an international incident, which Hudson really does not want happening, and the operation where they're supposed to be stopping Perseus is supposed to be off the record. It's supposed to be a Black Ops operation. So that's why I think that Hudson is concerned with Woods. Moving on to number 2, we have Mount Yamantau. And Mount Yamantau is one of my favorite missions in the original one and in Cold War. So what is Mount Yamantau? Mount Yamantau is a Soviet facility that was abandoned in the late 1960s. And you return there again in Cold War. And the reason you're there in Cold War is because you're trying to access the Soviet mainframe in which Perseus is trying to get information on Dragovich's former sleeper agents so he can use them. The reason that you went there in the original Black Ops game was to try to get information on the Nova 6 attack, because the Soviets were going to attack the US with Nova 6 gas, and they were going to use sleeper agents to do so. Hudson and his team infiltrated Mount Yamantau in order to try to get information on that and possibly capture Steiner if he was there. Steiner was not there. And what's so awesome about Mount Yamantau is that they did a lot of things that were very similar. Not everything is identical, but a lot of things are very similar. Like, for instance, the old SATCOM building, the main building, is the exact same between the two, between Black Ops 1 and Black Ops Cold War. And the ironic thing about it is that the place where you start out in Black Ops Cold War is the same place that Hudson and his team actually jump from near the end of the mission. And if you look through the facility, it looks extremely similar inside as well. And the map, though, it's a little bit different. The records, those cassette things that are on the wall, there's a lot more of them than there should be, but other than that, they kept the place pretty accurate. And the soldiers here, the bodies of the soldiers, these are all the way from the late 60s. They actually are wearing the exact same uniform that they were in the original Black Ops game. And look at what else they have. They have a crossbow bolt in them. And if you take out that crossbow bolt, Mason actually starts seeing the numbers again because he starts having memories of that. However, Mason was never at Mount Yamantau. At the same time, Mason was actually a prisoner in Vietnam being tortured by the Viet Cong at this precise moment. The crossbow was used by Hudson. Hudson had actually used it to stealth kill a lot of these Soviet soldiers when he was infiltrating the facility. And the craziest thing about this place is that this place even has the infamous catwalk. So it has the infamous catwalk. What is the infamous catwalk? This catwalk is the place when you exited the facility, you were going around the side, and right when you were about to get to the end of the catwalk, a Soviet soldier fires an RPG, splits the catwalk in half, and then Harris actually falls down. Now, a lot of us thought that Harris was dead, but Harris actually survived, as we saw from the live actual short movie that Treyarch released. Harris was actually captured by the Soviets and held in prison camps for 20 years before returning to the US, where he was actually interrogated by Bowman's son, who wanted answers. But here, we can see, this is the catwalk. This is the same catwalk that got hit by the RPG, and there's more to the facility as well. But the other part of the facility, it's down below, and it's been completely buried because of the avalanche. The rest of the facility, we can see a lot of it, including, if you look closely, you can actually see that power tower right on top of the original SATCOM facility, and that tower was most likely pushed down because of the avalanche. So the avalanche, of all its force, actually pushed the tower down. But another crazy thing about this mission is that if you actually sneak around and you find this key, you can open up this locker. And this locker inside it has a magnum called the Redeemer, but importantly, it has a picture of Steiner. Steiner was that evil German scientist who helped the Soviets actually deploy the Nova 6 gas. Mason actually later on killed him at Rebirth Island, where Mason thought that he was Reznov, and because Reznov had actually tricked Mason's programming where he was brainwashed in order to kill Steiner. So this is the same picture of Steiner that we actually see in Black Ops 1.
Steiner was there! We had to kill Steiner!
But Hudson and the CIA were already on their way to get Steiner at Rebirth. Why did you have to go?
Dragovich, Kravchenko, Steiner, they all had to die.
We wanted Steiner alive! Why did you have to kill him?
Because the numbers were telling me to! Why don't you fucking understand?
Dragovich's sleeper cells are on U.S. soil. Nova 6 is weaponized. They will use it. Moscow has gone dark. We are out of options. A preemptive strike on Russia is prepared. The President will authorize. Mason, for the last time, where is the number station?
How many times Steiner was at Rebirth Island? We had to kill Steiner.
And number one, the number one best reference to the original Black Ops game, in my opinion, is Kravchenko.
Thank you, Secretary Gorbachev. And thank you all for welcoming me with open arms. I can think of no greater tragedy than a home violated from the inside. The trust and love within a family is sacred.
Apparently. Not everyone shares your beautiful sentiments.
Comrade Belikov, as head of security, I understand you've practically exhausted yourself trying to unearth this mole. How is that gone?
I am not a patient man, Belikov, or a compassionate one.
I absolutely love this scene, and this is the same scene with Gorbachev earlier. You have both Zakhaev and Kravchenko, two ruthless villains that you never thought would be in the same room, are right next to each other. A lot of people are focusing on Zakhaev here because of the Modern Warfare games, but I'm going to talk about Kravchenko here, and I might have a video talking about Zakhaev in the future, because this is not the same Zakhaev from the original Modern Warfare game. This is Zakhaev from Modern Warfare 2019, where he actually appears to be deceased in that game. But we'll talk about Zakhaev possibly in the future on another video. I want to focus on Kravchenko here. Now, Kravchenko, a lot of people that would just play Cold War, they didn't play the original Black Ops game, or they didn't even play Black Ops 2. For them, Kravchenko is just a generic Soviet NPC that they see in just one mission. But if you played the original Black Ops games, you know exactly who this guy is, especially if you've played through Black Ops 1. This guy was the secondary antagonist in Black Ops 1, and this guy was really ruthless and evil. What did Kravchenko do in the original Black Ops game? He was the guy who captured Mason in the very first mission you see here. He brought him over to Fidel Castro, who Fidel Castro gave him to Dragovich. Kravchenko was present at Vorkuta when Dragovich and Steiner had brainwashed Mason and implanted the number sequences into him. He is also the same guy who stabbed a knife into Weaver's eye. So the guy that you see in Zombies that is giving you orders, Weaver, the reason that he is missing an eye is because Kravchenko stabbed a knife through his eye. And that was because Weaver was a spy working for the Americans. And when Kravchenko found this out and Weaver wouldn't surrender his friends, he stabbed them in the eye. So just keep that in mind every time you see Weaver, that Kravchenko is the one who did that to him. Kravchenko also appears near the end of the game, in which he captures Mason and Woods. Mason and Woods both escape the Viet Cong, they steal a hind, and go on a rampage. They fight all the way up to Kravchenko's compound, and then when Mason enters the room, Kravchenko attacks him, and this scene happens here.
Not this time, American. You are gay. I should have killed you in Vorkuta. Got you now, you son of a bitch. You die with me. What?
Woods goes out the window of Kravchenko, and the first time you played this game, you would be thinking that Kravchenko and Woods are both dead. But they're not dead. Kravchenko survived. Woods did as well, and Kravchenko took Woods as a prisoner, in which Woods was sent to a prison camp in North Vietnam, eventually where he had escaped. And Woods was absolutely furious at Kravchenko for this and wanted revenge for this whole scene, as well as the Viet Cong torture. But there's a really big difference between Kravchenko and Zakhaev and Dragovich, the main antagonist from the first game. What is the difference between them? And I like how they kept that personality in there. Kravchenko is the type of villain that relies on brute force. He does what he's told. He is not a mastermind like Dragovich or Zakhaev. Both Zakhaev and Dragovich are masterminds. They're master manipulators. They're very smart. They're very intelligent. Kravchenko is not very intelligent. He's ruthless and evil, but he doesn't plan things out too well. That's why he's always following orders from people. And you can see this in Black Ops Cold War. They even keep that there, because when Belikov actually talks to Kravchenko, there's one option to talk to him. He will actually tell Belikov that they're actually zoning in on the traitor. So they're about to corner him, they're about to find out where that external communication is coming from. Kravchenko is an absolute idiot for telling Belikov this, because Zakhaev was very smart and he suspected everyone, including Belikov. Now, I don't know whether Zakhaev knew that Belikov was a spy, but he suspected everyone. And you can tell this when he tells Gorbachev that only General Charkov should have the bunker key, no one else. So Belikov says, I should have the bunker key. Zakhaev says, no, only General Charkov should be the one that has the bunker key. So Zakhaev is suspicious of everyone. But Kravchenko, how, not smart he is, he automatically tells Belikov that, and then Belikov can actually sneak all the way downstairs to the server room and actually frame Charkov. And if Belikov actually gives this information to Kravchenko, Kravchenko will just say, what? How did this get past me? He doesn't even think that Belikov could have actually manipulated this, which he did, in order to frame General Charkov. And the best scene is actually when Kravchenko actually arrests General Charkov. I just love this scene.
I have no idea how this got past me. Charkov will be passing through here soon. When he does, we will apprehend him.
That is Charkov.
General Charkov, just how long have you been spitting on Mother Russia?
Excuse me? Do you know who you're speaking to?
I do now. Your medals will no longer protect you. Please empty your pockets on the counter.
Colonel, have you lost your mind?
Now step over there and lift your arms to the side.
You're serious?
Fucking do it.
Is this your way of setting up my fall, Kravchenko? I'm looking forward to hearing the response of the Central Committee.
Me too. Now go in that room without saying another fucking word. Anything else you need to tell me, you can do it in there.
General Charkov is arrested, and if Belikov was not caught as early as he would have, he probably would not have survived Kravchenko's interrogations, because Kravchenko, instead of actually trying to get information out of people, he ends up pretty much killing every single suspect that he tortures. Like I said, he doesn't have the mindset that Dragovich and villains like Zakhaev does. He's just the type of guy to follow orders. He just relies on brute force. In Black Ops 2, he meets his demise, which Black Ops 2 takes place 5 years later, and there's some talk on whether Black Ops 2 is now canon or not canon, whether it's a new universe, but regardless, we see Kravchenko 5 years later in Black Ops 2. He is leading the Soviet assault in Afghanistan, and Mason battles him on top of the tank. He gets captured, and then Mason tries to fight the numbers. He can end up killing him, or Woods will actually kill him after he gives him information on Menendez. So that is it. That is my favorite thing right there, is Kravchenko in Black Ops Cold War. And I would love if they added Kravchenko as an operator. Imagine how cool that would be if they added him as an operator in Cold War. I would love that. But it would be kind of awkward if Kravchenko was an operator in Zombies as well, and Weaver is the guy that's giving orders, and yet Kravchenko is working with him. That would be kind of awkward. But regardless, I would still love to see Kravchenko added to multiplayer, so I really hope that Treyarch considers adding him as an operator. So that is it for the top 5 best references to Black Ops 1. I'm sorry the video was kind of long here, I know it's past 20 minutes, but I've had a lot of fun making this video. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, and if you're new to my channel, enjoy my content, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone.